Morning! I hope you're doing really well. It is my second day here in Lanzarote, getting in some sunny miles, or at least in theory. So yesterday I went out on my gravel bike. I actually went on the road because I was just sort of having an easy day, scouting out places to go, checking out swimming spots and stuff. But the whole reason I brought my gravel bike here is of course because I want to ride gravel. But the bike is not working. So I'm going to have to rewind a little bit to tell you the story from the start, and also to tell you a little bit more about my feelings on, well, wireless shifting and built-in obsolescence in the bike industry. So going back a couple of months, sometime in December, I noticed that my SRAM axis rear derailleur just wasn't working. So I don't get everything right when it comes to mechanics, but I do like having a go and I do know my way around a bike. So I repaired the shifters with the derailleur, I went into the app, I updated the firmware, I made sure that all the batteries were charged. I mean, whenever I get set tips on what to do, people always say, have you charged the batteries? Yes. So I changed the shifter batteries, I charged the removable battery in the mech. Nothing was working. So if I pressed left or right on the shifters, the light lit up on the mech, but nothing happened. So everything was paired, nothing was working. I mean, the only thing I can assume is that the motor inside the rear mech just entirely stopped working because all the parts were communicating, but nothing was happening. So that's kind of annoying. Rewind a few years, and if a part wasn't working, you tended to be able to somehow fix it. You know, there were workarounds. It's a bit like cars in the olden days. I'm going to sound really old now, but this is just going on what I've heard. You could go in and like figure out ways of fixing stuff. It was sort of intuitive, and smaller parts were replaceable. You didn't have to throw away the whole thing. So now I'm thinking, are bike manufacturers and, you know, part manufacturers, are they going the same way as, you know, mobile phones and cars, building in obsolescence, essentially making it so impossible for the consumer to go in and fix something, so that you have to entirely replace parts where once you could have maybe mended them? So anyway, I'm moving on to the next one of the story now. Sorry this is boring, but I'm kind of into this sort of thing, so I figured I'd share it with the people that are. What I did to solve the problem with the rear mech, because I didn't want to have to buy a new one, is I put on another SRAM rear mech that I had lying around. So I used to run a mullet on my gravel bike. That was when people first started doing more gravel riding. You would have business up front, party at the back. So you'd have a road cassette at the front and a road chainring at the front and road shifters, and you would have a mountain bike cassette at the back. That was to give you a wide range of gears. Well, SRAM introduced a kind of proper gravel group set where you'd have a little less jump in between the gears. You didn't need to use a mountain bike cassette, and the whole idea was to just kind of refine the gravel riding experience a bit, which worked, and I've always liked the Explore group set, so this is certainly not a rant at SRAM at all. But anyway, I decided to put my Eagle derailleur on the bike because I figured, well, I've used it before when I was running a mullet, why wouldn't it work? Well, I'll tell you what I discovered yesterday, and what I knew all along, but what for some reason I just didn't think of. Eagle components and Axis components are not interchangeable. It doesn't actually work to put an Eagle derailleur on with my Explore cassette and all that sort of thing. So, unfortunately, I've got to go and hire a road bike because there are no gravel bikes available, so I'm in my roadie kit and I'm going to go cycling. Not the end of the world. But yeah, I just wondered what you guys thought about this whole sort of thing. To me, it seems like the more fancy and complicated bikes get, well, great, but that comes at a price, right? Well, I mean, literally a price for your pocket. But bikes back in the day, again, I'm sounding old, surely used to just last, I mean, almost indefinitely. You could replace jockey wheels and you'd replace gear cables, but you didn't have things just entirely fail and have to be binned, because that's the situation we seem to be in right now. So there you go, just wondered what your thoughts were. Do you think that the cycling industry is going the same way as mobile phones or cars, whereby it's making it so difficult for the consumer to understand or go in and fix things themselves, or they're building in obsolescence? I'd love to know what you think. Anyway, I'm going to go and hire my road bike, I'm going to go out in the sun and I'm going to have a good time. So I'll catch you later. Bye.